We all hope to age with strength and independence. Yet for so many people over 60, to reality is a frustrating cycle, spending money on supplements and gym memberships, only to feel their strength quietly slip away. Why is that? What is the real missing piece here? Well, it isn't just about more protein. And it's certainly not about endless hours of exhausting exercise. I'm Dr. Emma Collins, a biomedical scientist, and my research points to a hidden cellular process called anabolic resistance, a condition where your muscles simply stop listening to the signals to grow. The breakthrough isn't in a new drug, but in how you start your day. And here's the kicker. The solution involves a simple 30-second addition to your morning coffee. This one small habit can help reignite your body's natural muscle-building machinery. So, if you're noticing that your grip isn't as firm, or your balance feels a little more fragile, you need to stay right here. If that sounds even remotely familiar, do me a favor and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. And be sure to like and subscribe, because you are not going to want to miss the simple science I'm about to share. All right, let's start by getting to the heart of the matter. We need to talk about a process that begins quietly, often without us even noticing it, until one day we find it a little harder to open a tight jar, or we feel a bit unsteady getting out of a chair. The scientific name for this gradual decline in muscle is sarcopenia. Sarcopenia, it sounds complicated, but its meaning is simple. It's the age-related loss of muscle mass, strength, and function. And it's one of the most significant, yet least discussed, drivers of how we experience aging. After the age of 60, many of us can lose nearly 1% of our muscle mass every single year. Now, 1% might not sound like much, but imagine that compounding year after year for a decade. The impact is profound. This isn't just about how we look in the mirror. Far from it. Your muscle is what I like to call an organ of longevity. It's your metabolic engine, the primary place your body stores glucose after a meal, preventing blood sugar spikes. It's your physical armor, protecting your bones and joints from injury in case of a fall. It's a key communicator with your brain and immune system. When you lose muscle, you don't just lose strength, you lose a critical piece of your metabolic health, your stability, and your independence. This is the very foundation of vitality. So, the obvious question is, why does this happen? For decades, the conventional wisdom was simple. We get older, we move less, so we lose muscle. And while being less active is certainly a factor, it is not the whole story. It's not even the main character in this story. The real culprit, the deep biological reason so many people struggle, is a phenomenon my colleagues and I call anabolic resistance. That's the key phrase I want you to remember. Anabolic resistance. Anabolic simply means to build up. It's the opposite of catabolic, which means to break down. So, anabolic resistance means your body is literally resisting the signals to build and repair. Your muscle cells become stubborn. They turn a deaf ear to the very instructions that are meant to keep them strong and healthy. You can eat a protein-rich meal, you can do your resistance exercises, but the message just doesn't get through like it used to. The wires of communication have become frayed. Let's look at how this works on a cellular level. Inside your body, there is a powerful signaling pathway known as mTOR. Think of mTOR as the master switch, or the general contractor, for muscle protein synthesis. When you eat protein, your body breaks it down into its building blocks, which are amino acids. One specific amino acid, called leucine, is like the key that turns on the mTOR ignition. When enough leucine is present, mTOR wakes up and shouts the orders, "Start building, repair the damage, make the muscle stronger." This system has worked beautifully for decades. But as we age, the lock gets rusty. The mTOR pathway becomes less sensitive. The signal becomes sluggish. Researchers from esteemed institutions like the University of Birmingham and McMaster University have conducted truly eye-opening studies. They've shown that an older adult can require up to twice as much leucine in a single meal to trigger the same muscle-building response as a younger person. Twice as much. This is the very definition of anabolic resistance. You're supplying the materials, but the factory isn't turning on. To make this crystal clear, let me give you an analogy I often use. Imagine your muscle cell is a house that is constantly in need of small repairs. Protein, and specifically its amino acids like leucine, are the bricks needed for those repairs. In your 20s and 30s, when the mTOR signal is strong, the situation is perfect. The delivery truck full of bricks arrives, and a vibrant, energetic construction crew is waiting on site. They immediately get to work, patching walls, reinforcing the foundation, and keeping the house strong. The communication is flawless. But by the time you're in your 60s or 70s, that same delivery truck arrives, but the construction crew, they've slowed down. They're tired. The foreman, mTOR, is half asleep in his chair. He doesn't hear the truck pull up. The workers are slow to respond, and many of the bricks just sit there on the lawn, unused. This is anabolic resistance in a nutshell. It's the slowdown of that entire repair and renovation system. This is why you might feel like you're doing everything right, eating well, staying active, yet still not seeing the results or feeling the strength you once had. It's not your fault. It's a biological shift. But the most empowering thing I can tell you today is that once you understand what's causing the slowdown, you can take specific science-backed steps to wake that crew back up. So, if anabolic resistance is the slowdown of the construction crew, the next logical question is, why is the crew so tired in the first place? What happened to their energy? This brings us to the even deeper root cause, the power supply behind the entire operation. We have to talk about your mitochondria. Now, inside every single one of your muscle cells, there are hundreds, sometimes thousands, of tiny bean-shaped structures called mitochondria. You may have heard of them in a high school biology class, often called the powerhouses of the cell. And that is exactly what they are. These are your body's power plants. They take the food you eat and the oxygen you breathe and convert them into a molecule called adenosine triphosphate, or ATP. ATP is the universal energy currency of your body. Every single thing your body does, from a thought crossing your mind, to your heart beating, to a muscle contracting to lift a grandchild, it's all paid for with ATP. It is the dollar bill of our biology. Without a steady supply of ATP from healthy mitochondria, nothing works efficiently. And here is the challenge. As we move past 60, the health of our mitochondrial network begins to change. It's a natural process, but one that we can influence. Two things happen. First, the total number of mitochondria in our muscle cells can decline. Second, and perhaps more importantly, the mitochondria that remain become less efficient. They get damaged. Think of them like tiny cellular furnaces. Over decades of burning fuel, they start to accumulate, well, soot. This soot comes from oxidative stress, a natural byproduct of energy production. As this damage accumulates, the furnaces don't burn as cleanly or as hotly. They produce less energy, less ATP, and at the same time, they generate more inflammatory smoke. This creates a perfect storm inside the muscle cell. You have less energy available to power that mTOR construction crew, and you have a low-grade inflammatory environment that actively tells the crew to stand down. This mitochondrial decline is a primary driver of the anabolic resistance we just discussed. The crew is tired because the power plant is failing. The science on this is incredibly compelling. Researchers at world-renowned institutions like the Karolinska Institute in Sweden and Harvard Medical School have shown that the health and performance of the mitochondria in your muscle tissue is one of the strongest predictors of biological age and longevity. It's more than just about muscle. When your mitochondria are functioning well, your metabolism stays flexible, your inflammation levels stay low, your brain stays sharp, and your muscles remain strong and responsive. When they falter, everything begins to decline. It's a cascade effect. So, how do we fix the power plant? How do we clean the furnaces and even build new ones? The answer lies in a fascinating biological concept called hormesis. Hormesis is the idea that a small, manageable dose of stress, when applied strategically, doesn't weaken your cells, but actually makes them stronger, more resilient, and more efficient. It's the old saying, that which doesn't kill me makes me stronger, applied at a cellular level. Intense exercise is a perfect example of a hormetic stressor. So are things like heat exposure in a sauna, cold immersion, or periods of fasting. But what is truly exciting is that certain plant compounds found in everyday foods and drinks can also act as mild beneficial stressors. And one of the most powerful and accessible of these is found in your morning cup of coffee. This leads us directly to the molecular control panel inside your cells. To truly take charge of your muscle health, we need to understand how your body decides whether to be in building mode or breakdown and repair mode. It all comes down to a delicate and constant conversation between three primary nutrient-sensing pathways. We've already met the first one, mTOR, but it has two very important counterparts, AMPK and PGC1 alpha. Understanding how to gently nudge these three pathways is one of the most powerful tools you have to reverse muscle loss. So, let's get acquainted with the whole team. First, as we discussed, we have mTOR. Remember, mTOR is the accelerator pedal. It is the gas. When you feed your body protein, especially the amino acid leucine, you press down on that mTOR accelerator, and your body goes into growth mode. It starts building new muscle tissue. Resistance training does the same thing. This is essential. You absolutely need to press that accelerator to build and maintain muscle. But, and this is a critical point, you cannot have the accelerator floored all the time. A car that is constantly redlining will eventually break down. A cell that is constantly in growth mode has no time for essential maintenance, for cleaning up waste, and for repairing damaged parts. This is where the other pathways become our heroes. The second key player is AMPK. If mTOR is the gas pedal, you can think of AMPK as the intelligent fuel gauge. AMPK's job is to sense when energy levels are getting low. It switches on during activities like exercise, fasting, or when you're in a calorie deficit. When AMPK is activated, it puts the brakes on mTOR and shifts the cell's priority from growth to conservation and efficiency. It says, "Okay, team, let's conserve energy. Let's start burning our stored fat for fuel. And while we're at it, let's start a deep cleaning process." This cellular cleaning process is called autophagy, where the cell identifies old, damaged parts and recycles them. Activating AMPK is crucial for improving insulin sensitivity and reducing inflammation, both of which are essential for creating a healthy environment for your muscles to thrive in as you age. Then, we have the third member of our team, PGC1 alpha. You can think of PGC1 alpha as the master regulator of mitochondrial biogenesis. That's a fancy term, but it means PGC1 alpha is the switch that tells your cells to build brand new, healthy mitochondria. It's the foreman in charge of building more power plants. It works very closely with AMPK. When you exercise or fast, AMPK gets activated, and it, in turn, helps to activate PGC1 alpha. This sends a powerful signal throughout the cell. We need more energy, build more efficient furnaces. So, here is the key takeaway from all this science. Health, longevity, and muscle preservation are not about maximizing one pathway. It is not about flooring the mTOR gas pedal all the time. It is about rhythm. It is about balance. It's about creating cycles of stimulation followed by periods of recovery and repair. To make this even more relatable, imagine your body is a sophisticated hybrid engine. mTOR is your powerful gas-guzzling mode. You need it when you need to accelerate hard and build speed, or in this case, muscle. AMPK and PGC1 alpha represent your clean, efficient electric mode. This mode is for cruising, conserving energy, and recharging the battery. A smart driver knows that the magic isn't in using just one mode, but in strategically alternating between them for optimal performance and longevity. You press the gas when you need it, then you let the electric system take over to recover and regenerate. The latest research from top-tier publications like the Journal of Physiology and the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition fully supports this model. They show that this cycling between states, which scientists call metabolic flexibility, is what enhances both mitochondrial function and muscle protein synthesis, especially in older adults. When you combine the right kind of movement with smart eating windows and targeted nutrients, you are literally reprogramming your metabolism at the cellular level. You are teaching your body how to be a more efficient hybrid engine. Now, with that crucial background in cellular biology, let's shift our focus to something much more familiar, something that millions of Americans make a non-negotiable part of their morning ritual. Let's talk about coffee. For most of us, coffee is about comfort, it's about the aroma, and of course, it's about that welcome jolt of caffeine that helps us start the day. But I'm here to tell you that when viewed through the lens of cellular biology, your morning cup of coffee is a surprisingly powerful metabolic tool. When you use it strategically, it can help wake up your mitochondria, increase your body's ability to burn fat for fuel, and even create the perfect environment for muscle repair and recovery. The secret is not just in the caffeine, but in the complex symphony of compounds that nature has packed into the coffee bean. Here is what the research tells us. Coffee is a complex biochemical cocktail. It contains hundreds of active compounds. Beyond caffeine, some of the most important are a group of antioxidants called polyphenols, especially one named chlorogenic acid. These molecules have been shown in numerous studies to be potent activators of that AMPK pathway we just talked about, the cellular fuel gauge. When you drink coffee, these compounds are absorbed into your bloodstream, and they send a gentle hormetic stress signal to your cells. This signal effectively nudges the AMPK switch into the on position. And remember what happens when AMPK is on? It tells your body to improve insulin sensitivity, to start burning fat, and it also activates its partner, PGC1 alpha, to begin building new mitochondria. This is profound. Your simple cup of coffee is sending a direct message to your cellular machinery to become more energy efficient. What does this mean for your muscles in practical terms? It means your muscle cells become better at managing blood sugar. It means they become more efficient at producing the ATP energy needed to power every contraction. It means less fatigue during the day and better recovery after physical activity. But of course, there is the caffeine itself. A fascinating study published in the Journal of Applied Physiology found that when caffeine was consumed before a resistance exercise session, it significantly increased muscle fiber recruitment and performance. This was true for both younger and older adults. The caffeine helps your nervous system to fire more effectively, allowing you to get more out of every movement you make. But the polyphenols play a deeper, more protective role. They are potent antioxidants, which means they help to neutralize the oxidative stress, that cellular soot we talked about earlier, that contributes to mitochondrial aging and chronic inflammation. Inflammation is a major enemy of muscle health and a key driver of sarcopenia. Let's return to our analogy of the mitochondria as tiny furnaces. Over time, the walls of those furnaces get coated with residue, making them less efficient. The polyphenols in your coffee act like a gentle chimney sweep. They help to clean out that residue, allowing the furnaces to burn fuel more cleanly and efficiently once again. However, and this is a critically important point, the immense benefits of coffee can be completely negated by what you add to it. Many people unknowingly sabotage their morning ritual. Adding sugar, sugary syrups, or highly processed inflammatory creamers creates a metabolic disaster. The sugar causes a massive spike in the hormone insulin. Insulin is the antagonist of AMPK. When insulin is high, AMPK is switched off. You are essentially pressing the brake and the accelerator at the same time. You're canceling out the very benefits you're seeking. But if you combine black coffee with the right nutrients that specifically target the muscle-building pathways, you create a powerful synergistic effect. This is where the magic happens. For example, by adding specific amino acids right after your natural overnight fast, you can use the coffee to first clean the house with AMPK and then immediately follow up with the signal to start building with mTOR. You are essentially using your morning coffee as a high-precision delivery system for muscle maintenance. It becomes more than a beverage. It becomes a biological signal. So, now that we've established that coffee can be used as a powerful tool to activate our cellular repair and energy pathways, let's get to the most practical part of our discussion. Let's talk about the specific nutrients you can pair with your coffee to unlock its full potential for preserving and even building muscle mass, especially after the age of 60. This is where science meets real-world strategy. Let's set the stage. When you wake up in the morning, your body is in a naturally mild, fasted state. You haven't eaten for, hopefully, 8 hours or more. In this state, your insulin levels are very low. This is good. It means that the AMPK pathway, your cellular fuel gauge and cleaning crew, is active. Your body is primed to burn fat for fuel. This is a powerful window of opportunity for metabolic renewal. But to maintain and build muscle, we need to skillfully transition from this repair and recycle mode into build and strengthen mode. And to do that, we need to activate our friend mTOR, the master switch for muscle synthesis. The most effective and efficient way to do that is with a precise dose of key nutrients. And your morning coffee is the perfect vehicle to deliver them. We're going to build what I call a synergistic stack of 3 key ingredients. Let's go through them, one by one. The first, and arguably the most important ingredient, is the amino acid leucine. Leucine is what's known as a branched-chain amino acid, or BCAA, and it is the undisputed king when it comes to triggering muscle protein synthesis. It is the specific key that fits perfectly into the mTOR ignition. As we've discussed, research from the University of Illinois and McMaster University has clearly shown that as we age, we develop anabolic resistance, which means we need a higher dose of leucine to flip the mTOR switch. The scientific consensus suggests that a dose of about 3 grams of leucine per meal is the target needed for older adults to overcome this resistance and effectively stimulate muscle growth. By adding 3 grams of pure leucine powder, or a scoop of a leucine-rich protein, like a high-quality whey isolate, directly into your coffee, you are sending the most powerful signal possible to your muscles, telling them it's time to build. You are doing this right after the coffee has primed the system by activating AMPK. It's a perfect 1-2 punch. The second ingredient in our stack is creatine monohydrate. Creatine is one of the most extensively studied and scientifically validated supplements on the planet. For years, it was mostly associated with young athletes and bodybuilders. But a wealth of modern research has revealed its profound benefits for healthy aging. Creatine's primary job is to help regenerate ATP, the energy currency of your cells. It acts like a cellular battery recharger. It provides a quick and accessible pool of energy that your muscles can use during short bursts of effort, like standing up from a chair or lifting a bag of groceries. For older adults, this translates to very real improvements in strength, power, and physical performance. Several large-scale meta-analyses, which are studies of studies, have confirmed that older adults who supplement with 3 to 5 grams of creatine monohydrate daily, especially when combined with resistance training, experience significant gains in muscle mass and strength. But the benefits don't stop there. Your brain is an incredibly energy-demanding organ. Creatine supplementation has also been shown to support cognitive function, memory, and protect against neurological decline. It's as much a brain nutrient as it is a muscle nutrient. The third and final ingredient is collagen peptides. Now, it's important to understand collagen's specific role. Collagen is the most abundant protein in your body, and it forms the structural framework of your connective tissues. Think of it as the glue that holds everything together: your tendons, ligaments, joints, and skin. While collagen is not a complete protein for directly stimulating muscle synthesis in the same way as leucine or whey protein, it provides a unique profile of amino acids, particularly glycine, proline, and hydroxyproline, that are the essential building blocks for these connective tissues. As we age, joint stiffness and discomfort become common complaints. Supporting the health of this connective tissue is just as important as supporting the muscle itself. You need a strong frame to support a strong engine. Research from the University of Freiburg in Germany demonstrated that older men who consumed collagen peptides daily in combination with resistance training gained significantly more lean muscle mass and strength, and lost more fat than the group that only did the training. When you combine these 3 ingredients, leucine to flip the switch, creatine to provide the energy, and collagen to support the structure with the mitochondrial activators already present in your coffee, you create a perfect biochemical environment for rejuvenation. The caffeine in the coffee can even enhance nutrient uptake and circulation, making the delivery of these amino acids to your muscles even more efficient. So let me make this incredibly practical for you. Here is how you can structure this morning ritual. Start by brewing your favorite coffee, black, while it's still hot. You can blend in 1 scoop of unflavored collagen peptides, 3 grams of leucine powder, and 3 to 5 grams of creatine monohydrate. It's best to use a small blender or a milk frother to ensure everything dissolves well. The ideal time to drink this is about 30 to 40 minutes before your first meal of the day or before a morning workout session. This timing allows the caffeine and the amino acids to reach their peak levels in your bloodstream at roughly the same time, amplifying both mental focus and the signal for muscle protein synthesis. It's a simple, convenient, and remarkably effective habit that, over time, can make a significant difference in your energy levels, your strength, your recovery, and your joint health. You are transforming a simple daily pleasure into a precision, science-backed protocol for aging with vitality. Now that you have the science and the specific formula, it's time to bring everything together. We need to integrate this morning ritual into a daily rhythm that aligns with your body's natural biology. Because I want to be very clear about this. No single nutrient, no supplement, and no one habit will ever be as powerful as aligning your lifestyle with your body's innate circadian clock. This is the ultimate force multiplier. Our bodies are not designed to operate on random schedules. Every single tissue in your body, from your brain to your liver to your muscles, and yes, even down to the individual mitochondria within those muscles, runs on a precise internal 24-hour timing system. This is your circadian rhythm. It dictates when certain hormones should be released, when enzymes are most active, and when your muscles are most receptive to nutrients and exercise. As we get older, this internal rhythm can often become weaker or disrupted, and this disruption itself can accelerate metabolic decline and muscle loss. But when you take simple steps to restore and synchronize this rhythm, you are literally aligning your metabolism with time itself. You are working with your biology, not against it. Here is a simple, powerful template for how to structure your day. It all begins the moment you wake up. The most important signal for anchoring your entire circadian rhythm is light, specifically morning sunlight. Before you do anything else, try to step outside or at least stand by a window and let natural light hit your eyes for 5 to 10 minutes. You don't need to stare at the sunday. Just being outside is enough. This early light exposure sends a powerful signal to a master clock in your brain called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. This signal says, the day has begun. It triggers a healthy release of cortisol, which helps you feel alert and awake, and it sets the timer for the release of melatonin later that night, which will help you sleep. Next, about 30 to 40 minutes after waking, it's time for your fortified coffee. Prepare the blend we just discussed with the collagen, leucine, and creatine. Sip it slowly. Enjoy the ritual. This gives your cells that powerful early morning signal for both mitochondrial activation through the coffee itself and the readiness signal for muscle protein synthesis from the amino acids. Now, use that window of heightened energy and focus from the caffeine for movement. Within an hour or so of finishing your coffee, aim to do some form of resistance training. This doesn't have to mean lifting heavy weights at a gym. It can be bodyweight circuits at home, using resistance bands, or even just brisk walking or gardening. The key is to challenge your muscles. This movement, performed in a fasted state but with amino acids and creatine in your system, is the perfect way to maximize the activation of both AMPK and mTOR in the correct sequence. Your mitochondria are awake from the coffee, your energy is high, and now you are telling your muscles it's time to work and then repair. Then, within about 60 to 90 minutes after your training session, it's time for your first full meal of the day. This meal is critical. It should be rich in high-quality protein, aiming for around 30 grams. This could be something like eggs, Greek yogurt, or a quality protein shake. Combine this with healthy fats like avocado or nuts, and plenty of colorful vegetables for fiber and micronutrients. This meal replenishes your amino acid stores, supports the recovery and growth process you just initiated, and helps to stabilize your blood sugar for the hours ahead. Studies consistently show that for older adults, spreading protein intake evenly across meals, rather than having one huge protein-heavy meal at dinner, is far more effective for sustaining muscle protein synthesis throughout the day. Let's talk about your eating window. A gentle overnight fast of 12 to 14 hours can be incredibly beneficial for most people. This simply means that if you finish your last meal at 7 p.m., you wouldn't have your first meal until between 7 a.m. and 9 a.m. the next morning. That fortified coffee does not break your fast in a meaningful way. This fasting window gives your body ample time to run its nightly cleaning and repair programs, like autophagy, which are governed by AMPK. Finally, your evening habits are just as important as your morning ones. Avoid large, heavy meals late at night, as they can interfere with the release of growth hormone and disrupt the quality of your sleep. Aim to have your last meal about 3 hours before you go to bed. And speaking of bed, prioritize sleep. Sleep is not a luxury. It is a biological necessity. It is during the deep stages of sleep that your body releases the majority of its growth hormone and performs the most critical muscle repair and mitochondrial renewal. This is your nightly anabolic window. Aiming for 7 to 9 hours of high-quality sleep every night might be the single most effective and most overlooked strategy for preserving your muscle and vitality as you age. When you combine all of these elements, circadian alignment with light, nutrient timing with your coffee, smart exercise, and a prioritized sleep schedule, you create a powerful, holistic biological environment that favors regeneration over decline. You are teaching your cells to be metabolically flexible, your mitochondria to stay youthful, and your muscles to listen and respond like they did decades earlier. So let's bring this all together. You made it to the end. And what you've just discovered is more than a simple morning routine. You now understand the real story happening inside your cells. You've learned that the enemy isn't getting older. It's a process called anabolic resistance. And more importantly, you've learned how to begin reversing it. By understanding the dance between your mitochondria, your cellular signals, and your body's natural rhythm, you have been given the tools to reclaim control. That is the power of knowing how your body truly works. Now, I don't expect you to change everything in your life tomorrow. That's not how lasting change happens. I'm asking you to do just one thing. Commit to trying the fortified coffee ritual just one time, tomorrow morning. That small act of blending those simple ingredients into your coffee is more than just a new habit. It's a signal you send to yourself, a declaration that you are taking charge of your own vitality. Every significant transformation begins with a single, manageable step. And to build a community of people all taking that step together, if you feel inspired and ready to try this, please take a moment and comment with the simple phrase, "Ready for action," below. Seeing those words lets me know this message has resonated, and it inspires others to join in. I do read every single comment. Please, always remember this. You are far more powerful and capable of cellular renewal than you may have been led to believe. The journey to reclaiming your strength has just begun. Be sure to subscribe to the channel so we can continue to walk this path together. Longevity is not about escaping aging. It is about mastering it, and that mastery begins with how you start your day.